here, you would have to change these as well, object IE. And all we're doing here is we're asking that the user gives us an object that's already open, in this case the internet window that we already have open. We're setting the function to have a value of 0 because we don't want to return a positive value if there's actually no tag names that no tag names that were found. We create a variable that says the count is equal to -1, and the reason behind this is because we're going to create a loop right here, and the very first thing that we do inside the loop is do the count is equal to the count plus 1. So starting with -1 plus 1, we're starting with the value 0. The reason we start with the value 0 is because whenever you're looking at items inside the web code, the index, it starts off like a list box index or a combo box index where the value starts at 0. So the count on the very first time the loop comes around is going to be a 0. So we do set form is equal to object IE dot document dot get elements by tag name. What tag name is a parameter that we're going to be looking for? And then it's going to be dot item and then the count. So the very first time this comes around, the count's going to be set to 0. This specific line right here, A is equal to form dot name. If there is not a form, I'm going to use form for example in this example. I'm going to say that we're calling a form. And I should have changed this name. This was a name that I created the first time I was building the code. This can really be the element. And I can do A is equal to the element dot name. There, I'm going to leave it like that. So set the element is equal to object IE dot document dot get element by tag name. And so then we're looking for what tag name and then the count. This string is going to cause the system to have an error if that item does not exist. And if it doesn't exist, then what the system will do, it'll just proceed until the err.number does not equal to 0. And this is going to be a little bit confusing if you're not familiar with error handling. So hopefully you're following this tutorial starting from video 1 coming up until now, otherwise this is not going to make sense. But err.number is going to be 0 anytime there is no error found. So if no error is found, then that means that the element still exists. Because the element still exists, then we're going to do get count by tag name is equal to the count plus 1. And that's going to be this inside variable right here. We're going to loop all of this code until err.number does not equal to 0. So pretty much all this means that we're going to call this code over and over and over again until this line right here causes an error. Once it causes an error, we know that we're out of forms. There's nowhere to count anymore. And then it's just going to return this last value, get count by tag name, to the count that's on the actual web form. Hopefully that makes sense. It's really complicated though. I mean, it's only a few lines of code, but this is going to be very complicated if you're not familiar with error handling, do events, variables, or getting elements by tag name. So hopefully you're following this video starting from video 1. If this is your first video that you're watching, this probably is not going to make that much sense. But again, if you don't really care for this to even make sense, then you can just copy this code right here. Just paste it into your module or to your user form, and in your command button, all you have to do is just this one line of code. And you can change this to a message box, or you can change it to a variable. The value is equal to get count by tag name, and then just the object IE, and then whatever tag you're looking at. This is going to be a little prerequisite to our next video, which in the next video we're going to talk about entering and inputting data into a web form field.